Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for sticking around this afternoon. With 10 minutes, I'm going to move pretty rapidly here. Just the company Mod Resources and our in-country operating company, we're in Botswana here, is called Sekudu Metals, the Rhino. So what we have is really a unique situation here. We dominate a copper belt in Botswana. It's had virtually zero exploration in the 200 kilometres that we control and dominate in the central part of the copper belt. And I just have a very short time, but I'll try and get the sort of the essence of what we're trying to achieve here and our plans for this region. Firstly, who is Mod? So we're the largest copper explorer in Botswana. We're actually the largest license holder in the country as well. We've teamed up with JV partner AIM-listed Metal Tiger Resources. We recently announced, in fact only Friday, that we'd completed a deal to buy back their 30% interest in our first mine, which we call T3, and also have a free option effectively to buy back any 30% interest in any other discovery along this copper belt. It's a fabulous jurisdiction, Botswana. It really is top shelf. We get very strong government, ministerial and local support. We're going to become a significant, and we already are, employer and trainer of Botswana people who we just really enjoy working with. It's a wonderful country here. We're ASX listed. We're listing on the main board in the standard market on Monday, actually, next week. And so I guess I get to push the buzzer or whatever that entails, ringing a bell or something similar. We'll see what happens. It's a sort of three projects in one project here. The T3 copper project, discovered only in March 2016. Discovery hole, first hole, 52 metres at 2% copper. We had a 10 bagger on day one, basically, and never looked back from that. We've been drilling it for 2.5 years. It's now moved through scoping to pre-feas to full feasibility study, which is due out in March next year. It's a substantial open pit mine, minimum 10 years mine life, 30,000 tonne a year copper. And I'll have probably 1 minute to explain it in a little bit more depth. We're also drilling out an underground potential mine straight down dip from the ore body in T3 pit. Beyond T3, in the immediate area, we have dozens of targets in what we call the T3 expansion project. It's part of the joint venture currently, whereas the T3 copper mine is now Mod's 100%. We've had immediate success in drilling outside of T3 at A4 Dome initially. We've drilled some 20 holes here, copper in every hole, and at the A1 Dome, which is about 20 kilometres away from T3, similar story, only 6 holes to date, but the results are pretty stunning. And we're also looking at a small underground mine in addition to that. The T20 Expiration project's our third regional. This is where we're really having a shot at the big time in terms of copper belt scale exploration, so I'll come to that last. Where we are, map here, all orange and red, if you like, on the left-hand side. The paler colour is joint venture, the dark red is Mod 100%. And really the key here is this, what we call central structural corridor in blue. Hopefully you can see it, around about 20 to 40 metres wide, extensively mineralised here. That same corridor extends off our ground to the northeast. This is a company, Kuprick Canyon Capital. It's funded out of London, in fact. And there's been 20 years of drilling and there's 7 million tonnes of resources up that eastern end of the belt. And there's virtually, the largest deposit in that's 100 million tonnes, 2% underground mine, which is looking to be developed about 100 kilometres east of our holdings. To the west of us is Namibia, deep sand cover. The area to the blue has sand cover, deep oxidation, therefore the focus on underground mining. Where we are, we're exceptionally lucky. We have a just below surface layer of calcrete. To people who are not aware of it, it's a water table deposited limestone sheet, and it sits right across for 200 kilometres that central belt to the Namibian border. It's hidden anything below it from discovery forever until 3 years ago. Our flagship T3 project, it was discovered only in March. We had our first resource at 28 million tonnes. It's gone through various expansions. We're currently sitting around about 60 million tonnes at 1% copper. 36 million tonnes of that is in indicated category. That's likely to form the basis for our final pit design in the feasibility study that's due out at the end of March. So we have top shelf consultants working on this. We've got a very experienced in-house team in terms of not just exploration, but resource development and operational, mine operational backgrounds as well, and financing. So Three of us are here, 4 of us, sorry, of that group are here today. And we're targeting first production by end of 2020. I can't go into the detail of that except to say that T3, this is the PFS, this is back in January this year. We had a base case of 2.5 million tonnes, an upside case of 4. For the reserve, for the feasibility study, which we're well advanced on now, we're actually targeting a 3 million tonne per annum startup project here with expansion capabilities. So the metrics are exceptional. We've had considerable interest from global banks to fund up to 60%, maybe more, of this roughly $200 million development of this wonderful asset here. Why it's so special, it's a simple open pit. It's got a very low stripping ratio. You can see the cross-section on the right-hand side. The ore width's around about 100 metres in the middle and tapers off. It's like a huge lens here, runs about 1,500 metres. We're now chasing it outside of the pit, which you can probably see there to the left-hand side as a potential underground. And just pit alone, we're targeting 30,000 tonne copper a year. Our internal goal really is to double that, because we have our sights firmly set on becoming a mid-cap company, and that's part of the reason we've also listed in London to really open up this potential of this region to a much wider market. In terms of the pit, there's a little bit of detail showing the pit outline and the high-grade veins that continue outside of that pit, which we're chasing underground. I have to skip that probably. I don't know what's quite happened there. Yep. So current plant design. One of the wonderful things about this part of Botswana, the infrastructure is really good. There's a highway runs straight through the copper belt here. There's a substantial town of Hunzi where all of our operations are based, where we're currently building a village. Next step up for that is 400, then up to 700 people. And the Botswana government has committed 500 million to run grid power down this highway, partly for the copper industry and partly for the cattle industry, which is very substantial and well established in this region as well. We have outstanding metallurgy. You probably may not be able to read that, but this is still PFS level. We've announced refinements to this as we go through the feasibility. So we're looking north of 95% recoveries here and concentrate grades in the order of 30 to 35% life of mine. So very few deleterious. So there's been a lot of interest from sort of off-takers and smelters globally here. Expiration, this is really what sets us apart from the rest. Of the T3 project areas, the dark green shape, it shows just simply one farm block, 25 square kilometres there, which is we've purchased, and that will become our mining licence. The pale green, just to demonstrate the expansion project, is itself 950 square kilometres. It's all about scale here, and we're looking for sediment-hosted deposits that tend to run. And the yellow is an area that we've just started exploration drilling into, and our shareholders are very focused on what comes out, because that within that area alone we have a soil anomaly that runs for something like 60 kilometres, and it's never been drilled. So there's many things here. So we talk about the expansion project and the exploration project, the T20, which is in yellow to the left-hand side. Domes, T3 sits on a dome. This is a cross-section that's a bit cartoon-like, but it's just trying to show that there's a blanket geological contact called the NPF contact, which we think is a wonderful target in its own right. It hosts all the other deposits in the region to the east of us, and also these high-grade vein systems that tend to sit above that are also our immediate sort of near-surface targets. Extends over a large area, rely on electromagnetics and magnetics and drilling. And I just don't have time, but just to give you an idea of the sort of domes, we have some 7 domes in this T3 region alone. We've drilled 3 of them. One of them is T3, the mine. The next is A4, and the next one after that's A1. All of these have copper. We've hit copper in every hole in every dome so far. So it's a real opportunity here. I'll skip that slide for the second time, just to show the size of the soil anomaly that we're currently testing the margins of. I have to move on. Time has run out. It's pretty ruthless here. There's too much detail. We're very involved in the community. We're very part of the Hunzi district, as it's called, and that's part of our social licence. And I have to stop right there. Thank you for your time.